My name is Philip Lehr. We are at Wheelwright Park in Cohasset. We are at the Pumpkin Patch Fundraiser for Cohasset Appalacia Service Project. I have been involved with ASP for a little over 30 years, and Cohasset's been going to ASP since 1989. With ASP, we take anywhere between 100 to 150 volunteers down to Appalachia region, Virginia, West Virginia, Tennessee, and Kentucky, and we help rebuild homes. We work with and for Appalachia Service Project. It sets up the projects, sets up places for us to stay, and food and so forth, and organize all of the projects for us. Their theme is warmer, safer, and drier. We're in areas that have over 20% poverty level, which is very, very high, and it's in this country. And most people around here have, very fortunate to have what they have more than what they need most times, and don't understand how not so far away we have people in some pretty dire situations. So it's a good exposure for our teens to see some people in our country and what they go through. Get out there, get to work on these people's houses and actually get to know them, spend 5 days with them, get to talk to them, find out what situations they're in, how they got in their situations, and why they are where they are. And some of the stories we get from some of the people down there are just some of the most wonderful people you ever meet, and the stories they tell us are just fabulous. That whole area we go to is a coal mining area. Most of the mines have stopped working. Many of the families that we meet down there are not that far away from having family in the coal mines, and it's fascinating to talk to them, to see what they went through. We still see a lot of health issues held over from coal mining, and they're so eager to talk about their lives and their history and why they want to stay there and do what they do as best they can. So a good friend of mine, David Bigley, ran the South Shore section of Habitat for Humanity, and someone came to him and said, this company sells pumpkins, and it's a great fundraiser. And David came to me and he said, I don't have the volunteers, but Cohasset Appalachia Service Project does have the volunteers to cover every day of the patch to sell pumpkins. What do you think about the idea? And we kicked it around a bit. We went to the minister in our church, and he wasn't interested at all. And we got the binder from the company, and it's about 3 inches thick. It has the contract in it, and it has all of the information of how the best to sell your pumpkins, and we just jumped in. That was 2003. We didn't make a whole lot of money the first couple of years, but the community has really embraced this project, and it's fun to see people come out year after year and come say hi and be excited, and they will truly wait to buy their pumpkins here, which is great because so many of the stores, sell their pumpkins in September or middle of September or so, right? They start real early. It is good to know that these pumpkins sit here were just picked on October 4th. They are fresh pumpkins. They are sugar pumpkins, so they're great for cooking. We got somewhere in the vicinity of 5,000 or 6,000 pumpkins on the last load. Last Tuesday, we are getting another load this Sunday afternoon, and that'll have another full load. And those are just picked today. They're just getting on the truck and just getting on the road today, so they'll be fresh as well. The theme down there is warmer, safer, drier. So you think about warmer, you think about siding, insulation, drywall, that kind of thing on the walls. Drier, you think of roofs. They mostly like tin roofs now. They had asphalt for a while, which was a challenge to work with. And tin's pretty easy to work with as long as you get one skilled worker on the crew. They go up pretty fast and they last a long, long time. And then safer meaning things like, probably decay in floors or decking or that kind of thing, so we replace decks and so forth. And there are still, like I mentioned, issues with people having health problems from the mining industry. And they are still around and they need help getting in and out of their house. So oftentimes one of our crew is working on a handicap ramp to help people enter and exit out of their houses. ASP, Appalachia Service Project, is run out of Jonesville, Tennessee, and it's a big organization. They help people in 22 counties across the Appalachia region, and they really are set up just to make lives better for people. They take groups like ours from all over the country. All summer long they run an 8 to a 10-week program depending on when they start, and all these different locations, 20 different locations. They'll have anywhere from 60 to 100 volunteers at each one of those locations working on different projects. The Appalachia region is absolutely gorgeous country. One of the challenges with the country is that part of the country is the same reason that the coal mining industry was so prevalent. It has very steep, high mountains, and in between all of those mountains are rivers. Those mountains are what captured the coal over the millennium, and those are what are mined. So the only place really to live or set up houses is in the lowlands, which is next to the river. Very often, in the heavy rains and the heavy snows, that water goes down the mountains, and the rivers are just engorged and do severe damage to the homes. Very often we find a lot of damage from flooding, but most of it is just because they don't have the money to maintain their homes. So we go in there and try to make them much more livable. It's oftentimes we find roofs that are leaking, floors that are caving in from rot, front steps that are just decaying and just unsafe to go up and down. So that really is the bulk of our work. And like I said, we're directed by ASP. They go down and they sift out more important projects for us to deal with first. And then if they have more time, they do more. But the demand is so high, I don't think the program, unfortunately, will ever end. So Cohasset ASP started in 1989. We had a really big year in the late 2000s. I think we took over 200 people, which was a bit much, but we take somewhere between 100 and 150 people, volunteers. That's generally a mix. A work crew is 5 teenagers and 2 adults, so that's the mix. We take teens and adults with us to work with the teens. So that's the ratio, and yeah, it's a significant amount of people, and the cost of it, it's somewhere between $1,200 and $1,400 per person, and we've got to raise that money every year. Transportation is a pretty huge expense. We charter 3 buses from Cohasset down to Frederick, Maryland. And they're not cheap. They're probably $25,000 for those buses, and then we rent vans by work crew. So each work crew, 5 teens and 2 adults, as I mentioned before, will have a full-size van. Last year, I think we rented 21 vans, and that's fairly expensive for a week. So all of that adds up, and then we have fees to pay ASP, and that helps fund a lot of materials for the different projects, and pays for the staff and a little bit of rent on the buildings that we stay in. Generally, we stay in a church or a school that's not being used for the summertime, and they'll bring in the staff and they'll cook us breakfast and cook us dinner, and we'll make our own lunches and take them out to the site. So that's sort of how it works down there. So I've designed the pumpkin patch since we started in 2003. When David and I first looked at it, he said, let's just take them off the truck and spread them out like it's a big, field full of growing pumpkins. And I was like, I got some other ideas. I want to try a design. And of course, the rest is history. And each year is a challenge to try to get a different design, a friendly design, because we, Casper the Friendly Ghost is here. We don't want 2-year-olds scared away. One will come back. Halloween can be such a haunting and unfriendly venue for many of the kids. So we would really try to keep it as friendly as we possibly can. So each year I try to come up with a friendly design, different design, Halloween themed, and you know, it's a challenge, but it's so much fun, and it's just fun to watch the kids come in. You know, we've had a wedding party come in here for pictures. We've had I think on almost any day you can come in here and watch really young kids, less than a year old, come in their parents' arms, set them down next to pumpkins, and get their Christmas shot or whatever. A lot of that happens. It's so much fun to watch that. I mean, I don't want to give all my trade secrets, but you know, I find a pattern that I like, and I put it out in a 8.5 by 11 typical piece of paper, and I grid it out in 1-inch grids. And 1-inch grid is equal to a 10 by 10 grid out here in the field. After a number of years doing it, that's how I do it. So I come out here, I find the center of the field, and then I start making dots with line paint in key areas, and I start making dots between them, and then when I'm happy with them, I connect all the dots with lines. I get asked all the time how I make the aerial design work, and you know, I don't give out all the secrets. But I'm always amazed at myself when I come and look at the picture, because I really never know till I see that photograph from above how it's going to turn out. We're still taking sign-ups for our June trip, 2026. All of the information on our project is on cohassetasp.org, and on the website we'll show you how to sign up, how you can donate, how you can sign up to work at the patch, and some of our other fundraisers that we work.